The anime opens with Kanana, a man who is suddenly attacked and fatally wounded by a stalker wielding a lightning-infused blade. After the assault, he regains consciousness in a cave where an elder goblin named Gabu christens him Rue and provides him with sustenance. Rue quickly comes to the realization that he has been reborn as a goblin, a transformation that leaves him distraught. Within 3 days, Rue experiences rapid aging, a trait of his new goblin form, and learns from Gabu that it is crucial for young goblins to start fending for themselves, as he will no longer provide food. Eager to explore, Rue steps outside the cave and encounters a world teeming with unfamiliar creatures. He befriends another goblin named Kitchi, and together they embark on a hunt, successfully employing a tactic where Rue ambushes a horned rabbit while Kitchi chases it. Despite an initial disagreement over sharing their catch, Rue enforces the importance of teamwork. Amidst their activities, Rue is puzzled by a mysterious notification that appears after he collects a rabbit's horn, hinting at an unknown system at play. Their hunting partnership flourishes, and after consuming another rabbit, Rue is informed by the system that he has acquired the escape ability. He realizes that he retains a rare absorption ability from his previous life, enabling him to adopt the skills of the creatures he consumes. Upon returning to the cave, they meet Mio, a girl impressed by their ability to hunt dangerous horned rabbits. Although Rue internally dismisses their achievements as trivial, Mio's admiration grows. She joins them on a postponed hunt due to rain, during which Rue discovers the goblin's controversial use of human girls for reproduction. Ignoring this, he focuses on forging a weapon from found ore. Gabu observes Rue's progress and hints at a rapid advancement in levels, though Rue is unfamiliar with this concept. Following Gabu's guidance, Rue learns more about the leveling system among goblins and the evolution to hobgoblins at level 100, a rare achievement due to their short lifespans. Their hunting exploits continue to be successful, marked by excellent teamwork and new abilities gained from consuming a snake, despite its poisonous head. As days pass, the team faces various challenges, including an attack by a swarm of bats, which Rue counters using a newly acquired Evil Eye skill. However, the story takes a turn when Rue, awakened by his search ability, inadvertently harms a fellow goblin with his poisoned weapon during a surprise confrontation by a hungry group. He explains it was an accident due to his unmastered powers, instilling fear among the others. Mio, realizing that some goblins attempted to kill Rue, reacts violently by strangling one of them. Meanwhile, as Rue's party explores the woods, they encounter an orc. Mio hurls a stone, breaking the orc's finger, while Kitchi slashes at its leg, causing it to stumble. Rue delivers the final blow, and they consume the orc, allowing Rue to absorb new abilities. Feeling satisfied but aware of the other goblins' needs, Rue proposes they gather extra food for them. His idea is well received, and the goblins express their gratitude as they feast. That night, as the cave quiets down, the system interrupts Rue's rest with a prompt asking if he wishes to evolve. Drowsy and disinterested, Rue impulsively selects yes without fully engaging with the message. The next morning, he notices significant changes in his appearance, closely resembling his former human self. Kitchi has also undergone a transformation, which astonishes both Rue and Mio, who compliments their new looks. Gabu is amazed at their rapid progression, given they are merely 2 weeks old. Eager to test his new capabilities, Kitchi challenges Rue to a duel in the woods. During the intense exchange, Kitchi lands a strike, but is quickly overpowered by Rue's superior speed, leading to his defeat. As they recover, the sound of a wolf captures their attention. Preparing for potential danger, Rue instructs Mio to ready the crossbow they crafted. Spotting a wolf pack in the distance, Mio successfully incapacitates the alpha with a poisoned bolt. Amidst the chaos, Rue and Kitchi engage, making quick work of the disoriented wolves. When the alpha struggles to rise, Rue confronts it, but it soon succumbs to its injuries. Consuming the leader, Rue gains a leadership ability, which he decides to test by encouraging the goblins to hunt and replicate their success with the wolves. Initially hesitant due to their lack of skill, the goblins plead for training, which Rue agrees to provide, emphasizing camaraderie among them. His words inspire the goblins, who eagerly commit to his leadership. Days later, a somber discovery is made when they find that the human captives have taken their own lives, leading Rue to hold a memorial, attributing their despair to a loss of hope. During this period, Rue continues to consume monsters, acquiring a vast array of abilities. When a group of outsiders arrives, Gabu identifies them as goblins from a previous generation, accompanied by humans intended for breeding. Opposed to this plan, Rue confronts their leader, Ken, expressing a desire to protect the humans. Ken dismisses him due to his youth, escalating tensions. Before a conflict erupts, a girl named Saya intervenes, proposing a duel between Ken and Rue to settle leadership without weapons, aiming to prevent internal strife. They agree to the duel, but Ken is swiftly defeated by Rue. Rue justifies his use of strings in the fight by explaining that they are extensions of his body, not weapons. Proclaiming himself the new leader of the village, Rue's announcement is met with discontent from Ken's followers. To ensure the safety of the humans, Rue relocates them to the storage area, promising them protection and vowing to return them to a human settlement. When Rebellia, one of the humans, inquires about his intentions, Rue asks them to share their knowledge about their skills and backgrounds. The humans reveal their tragic past of being attacked and abducted by Ken's group, leading to an emotional moment where they begin to cry. Respecting their grief, Rue gives them space. 2 days later, Rue provides food to the humans and observes their unique traits and professions, noting that unlike goblins, humans do not evolve but possess diverse skills. Learning that Rebellia is a novice warrior, Rue considers integrating her into the goblins' training routines. Meanwhile, Ken's men show difficulty in their training, and after some provocative remarks from Rue, tensions escalate, leading Rue to assert his authority through physical dominance. Later, sensing a threat, Rue intervenes just as Ken and his followers attempt an assault on the humans. After a confrontation, Rue enforces the village rules by punishing Ken, ultimately leading to Ken's demise from his injuries in front of the village as a stern warning against rule breaking. The following day, while battling a creature known as a treehorn, Rue and his group struggle, but eventually overcome it, with Rue delivering the finishing blow and absorbing new abilities from the creature. Testing out a new skill that allows him to strike multiple times in a single attack, Rue is satisfied with the new power. That night, Rebellia, still unsettled by recent events, seeks comfort by sleeping next to Rue, and Mio joins them, leading to a cramped and uncomfortable sleep for Rue. As the village continues to train and evolve, Rue assigns roles to his companions. Mio leads the ranged fighters, Keiichi manages the armored unit, and Saya, the only mage, heads the light armored division. Satisfied with the training setup, Rue explores deeper into the woods, encountering another treehorn, which he swiftly dispatches using his new spell, confirming his confidence in his abilities. Venturing alone, Rue follows a trail of blood, recalling Gebu's warning about a formidable creature known as the Red Bear. Upon discovering a dead treehorn, evidence of the Red Bear's strength, Rue faces an imminent threat as the ground shakes, and the fearsome Red Bear appears, posing a deadly challenge. Rue contemplates fleeing from the dangerous Red Bear, but resolves to fight, eager to acquire its abilities. He unleashes a magical attack aiming at the bear's head, but the bear skillfully blocks it. Taken aback by the bear's sharp reflexes, Rue attacks directly, only to find its hide too resilient. He then tries to restrain the bear with magical strings, but it breaks free and retaliates with a fiery breath, scorching the surrounding area. Rue quickly takes cover behind a tree and uses a spell to heal his injuries, preparing for a critical confrontation. As the bear launches another fiery attack, Rue shields himself and charges, managing to stab the bear in the mouth. The bear reacts violently, hurling Rue against a tree. Severely wounded, Rue observes that the bear can no longer breathe fire due to the sword lodged in its mouth. Despite his critical condition and the risk of another deadly attack, Rue makes a desperate final charge. In a brutal exchange, the bear severs his arm, but Rue succeeds in defeating it. Near death, he consumes the bear's hand, gaining its formidable strength, then collapses from his injuries. At that moment, the system notifies him that he has reached the maximum level and offers evolution into an ogre. Rue accepts, regains consciousness, and consumes the bear's head to learn additional skills. Upon returning to the village as an ogre, Rue finds himself unrecognized and perceived as a threat until he identifies himself. Mio, realizing who he is, reacts with a mix of relief and frustration, injuring herself as she confronts him about his whereabouts. Rue recounts his ordeal, astonishing the villagers with his survival and victory over the red bear, previously thought to be the apex predator of the woods. As life in the village resumes, Rue's new form and immense strength inadvertently cause problems during training, as his mere touch now severely injures the goblins, and even Kichi's armor is nearly destroyed. Disheartened, Kichi isolates himself for personal training, while Meo and Saya bond, and Goi mines for spirit stones. Rue, benefiting from previously consumed slime, finds he can still use his arm to some extent. During this period, Goi urgently brings Rue an injured spirit named Latana, who he quickly heals. Latana introduces herself and explains her attack by humans, attributing it to the valuable gem on her head. She reveals her creation by a legendary magician to guard his secret treasure room filled with legendary items, pleading for their help to fend off further human attacks. Latana reveals that her master despised humans and would prefer to bestow all his treasures upon Rue and his companions, rather than let humans have them. Intrigued, Rue decides to investigate further. Despite Rubelia's concerns, Rue reassures her that he plans to negotiate with the humans first, rather than resorting to violence. Accompanied by Goi, he heads to her mining hall, which apparently leads directly to the treasure room. Rue instructs Goi to stay hidden while he confronts the adventurers himself. Upon encountering Rue, the adventurers are taken aback by the sight of an ogre and attack immediately, starting with an assassin. Rue effortlessly thwarts the attack and warns them they are trespassing, asking them to leave. When they aggressively refuse and attack again, Rue dismisses their techniques as overly simplistic, reliant on their levels and advancements. He's then struck by a lightning spell, which surprisingly has no effect on him. Frustrated, Rue ends up consuming all the adventurers, absorbing their jobs and discovering items like a magic bag and a concealment ring. After consuming the ring, he gains the Dimensional Item Box ability. Later, Latana leads them to her Master Velvet before fading away, leaving behind her gem, which Rue consumes to acquire the Golden Rule ability. With his new Item Box ability, they manage to collect all the treasure. Feeling a sense of responsibility, Rue decides to cremate the adventurer's remains, and surprisingly, a glove emerges from the ashes. When he tries it on, it bonds with him, revealing itself as a legendary item, enhancing his powers even further. The group is astounded by the glove's integration, and Rue finds that it feels as natural as his own hand. He examines the collected items, finding them exceptionally powerful. He shares most of the treasure with the other hobgoblins, but keeps 2 legendary items for himself, recognizing their extraordinary rarity. As Rue continues his adventures, he consumes a golden spider and a crystal deer, gaining their abilities. He eventually encounters a dryad, known for their seductive nature and nutritional use of men. Despite struggling, Rue succumbs to her allure but gains the Dryad's blessing and her hopes for his return. Back at camp, Rue finds the female members of his group ignoring him. The next day, Rue discovers that his search ability has improved, sensing a group approaching. He meets the elves, who condescendingly regard the goblins as savages, and offer a reward for defeating the humans threatening the woods. Gabu considers it a generous offer, but Rue refuses, mistrusting the elves' sincerity. As tensions rise, Rue stuns the elves with his formidable aura, threatening their leader to ensure his command to retreat is obeyed. Rue makes it clear that while he rejected the offer due to their tone, he is committed to protecting the woods, which he now considers his home. To emphasize his point, he summons an array of spears, encircling the elves and compelling them to withdraw. Later, Rue successfully hunts a gray slime, consuming its core to acquire a skill named auto-replication. Curious about its potential, Rue experiments by using his blood to create a tiny remote creature, realizing it could serve as a surveillance tool. He then applies his blood to the girl's clothing as a protective measure. A few days later, sensing the elves approaching, Rue confronts them as their leader commands an attack. However, Rue quickly incapacitates them with a powerful roar and entangles them in his web. Upon questioning, the elven leader reveals his motive for revenge, although his companions express their disapproval of his actions. Rue decides to execute the leader, but offers the others a chance to survive by engaging in mock battles against the goblins. After these confrontations, Rue consumes the defeated elves, absorbing their skills, and takes the survivors as prisoners, sternly warning Gabu against any misconduct, especially since most are women. In the midst of these events, Kichi returns from defeating a bear, having reached his maximum level and evolved into a special variant blessed by demigods. He challenges Rue, seeking to test his new strength. The duel is intense, but Rue ultimately prevails, acknowledging Kichi's significant improvement and recognizing him as a worthy rival. Back in the cave, Rue encounters a mysterious dark figure in what seems to be a dream, receiving a cryptic gift before abruptly waking up. Inspired by Kichi's evolution, the other goblins are motivated to advance, with Spanel identifying a potential mage among them, a hobgoblin named Ji, suitable for the role of a cleric. Meanwhile, Saya, who has evolved into a half-spell lord, tests her enhanced powers outside, causing destruction with multiple fireballs and boasting about her abilities, though Rue notes she still hasn't reached her full potential. As the village celebrates Sadia's progress with new equipment, Rue observes the training sessions, pleased with the advancements of his generation compared to predecessors, attributing their success to the different upbringing in the village. The following day, goblins from the older generation express their discontent with Rue's leadership and their desire to leave the village. Rue respects their decision, offering them a metal knife as a parting gift, demonstrating its use by making a cut on himself. Shortly after, Rue encounters an orc carrying a dead human with a unique ability. Seeing potential in the human's skills, Rue eliminates the orc and consumes the human's body to acquire his abilities, continually seeking to enhance his own powers through strategic means. Returning to the cave, Rue is greeted by Spanel, who offers him a drink. He is pleasantly surprised to find it's beer and thanks her for crafting it. The mood is festive as everyone gathers for a feast. During the gathering, Rue addresses the group about the goblins who decided to leave the village, probing if anyone else wishes to depart. Met with silence, he senses their contentment, and they all celebrate together with drinks. After the feast, Rue utilizes his blood to craft earrings designed for remote communication. He distributes these to the villagers, who are impressed by the functionality. Later, Goy successfully strikes down a Trehorn in one hit. Observing that it's still alive, Rue employs the monster tamer ability he acquired from a human, and the Trehorn revives, acknowledging the goblins as its master. Realizing the utility of this skill, Rue plans to tame more creatures to aid his village. Meanwhile, Rebelia engages in combat with kobolds, defeating 3 single-handedly. As she prepares to eat, she experiences a strange sensation and discovers she has unlocked a new job class, Nor Soldier, which allows her to level up quickly but requires her to consume monsters continuously. During her monster hunts, Rebelia informs Rue that humans have entered the woods, prompting Rue to anticipate conflict. Sometime later, Rue detects a group of kobolds rushing towards the cave, fleeing from a horde of skeletons. He commands his forces to engage the skeletons, but they quickly discover their weapons are ineffective. Rue senses a powerful entity controlling the skeletons. As Saya struggles, she inadvertently discovers that blunt attacks are effective when her scabbard causes a skeleton to crumble. Rue orders everyone to use blunt force, and they begin to fight with their fists. He then tells them to step back, needing only 10 seconds to confront the threat. Charging forward, Rue dispatches the skeletons in just 7 seconds and defeats their leader with a powerful punch, absorbing its abilities. The grateful kobolds pledge allegiance to Rue, explaining they had accidentally disturbed a treasury's guardian, which unleashed the skeletons. Despite the goblins' past conflicts with kobolds, the kobolds express their willingness to accept any fate Rue decides, acknowledging their own weakness. Rue opts to aid in their recovery, reflecting on the diverse and intriguing community forming in his village. During a hunting expedition with Kitchi, Rue spots a suspicious group of humans. Deciding to investigate, they overhear the humans plotting to kidnap the elf chief's daughter, revealing an elf trader's involvement. As night falls and the chief's daughter passes by, the humans launch their attack, killing her guards. Rue intervenes, swiftly overpowering the attackers. He questions one of the captors, learning of an impending larger attack planned in 20 days. The elf girl regains consciousness, initially startled and suspicious of Rue's intentions. He reassures her, explaining their non-involvement in human-elf conflicts and hinting at the betrayal within her own ranks. Distressed by this revelation, she begins to cry. Rue advises her to rest, though Gebu shows a curious interest in her, adding to the complexity of the situation. The following day, Rue prepares to escort the elf girl back to her village and inquires about her distinct wings. She explains that they are a characteristic of high elves. Upon reaching the elf village, Rue notices several archers aiming at him, their arrows made of metal. However, the girl intervenes, declaring Rue her savior, which leads the archers to stand down. During their meeting with the elf chief, Rue candidly states that his rescue was not motivated by altruism. The chief, feeling indebted, decides to prepare a reward. Rue interprets this as a measure of the chief's valuation of his daughter. The chief presents Rue with an ancient level item, pleasing him greatly. Rue then shares intelligence about the human movements, leading to a fruitful exchange where the chief offers more rare items. When the chief inquires about his elite unit, Rue feigns ignorance. As they depart, the chief gifts them alcohol and medicines, prompting Rue to vow assistance should the elves ever need it. The next morning, Rue discovers that Mio has evolved into a damper variant, endowed with ice control and enchanting eyes that can incite foes to fight amongst themselves. Similarly, Goi has become a half-Earth Lord, capable of manipulating terrain and detecting ores, while Saya has transformed into a half-Blood Lord, using blood as a weapon. With an impending war, Rue decides to maximize the potential of his allies. He distributes communication devices to the kobolds, and despite initial resistance due to cultural taboos, convinces the elves to accept them after extensive persuasion. He then initiates training sessions, surprised to summon a rare armored black skeleton. The elves practice against this formidable opponent, and Rue discovers his ability to summon various undead, although they disintegrate in sunlight. The group now exceeds 100 members, and noting the kobolds' relative weakness, Rue dedicates extra training for them and captures more wolf familiars. That evening, Rue notices that the halberd used against the red bear has been reshaped by Emery, who has advanced to an elemental smith, impressing him with her craftsmanship. Kichi, feeling romantic towards Goa, confides in Rue, who advises him to express his feelings straightforwardly. That night, Kichi follows through and shares his feelings with Goa. By the next day, it's evident that his confession was successful, emboldening him. Rue had anticipated this outcome, aware that Goy had sought advice from Mio. After training, the group goes hunting, where Rue acquires additional abilities. He experiments with an exoskeleton ability, which manifests as an armored suit with healing and impact absorption features. However, finding the armor too ostentatious, he removes it, only to realize it had consumed his clothes for material, leaving him naked. Adapting the skill to use different materials, Rue attempts to form insect wings but struggles to adjust to them. Everyone continues to make strides in their development. Emery introduces a new rapid-fire crossbow, while Spannel has crafted an innovative item from the black skeletons. A delegation of elves, sent by their chief, arrives with news that the humans have initiated their attack and promises a substantial reward. Rue agrees to help under the condition that his group can act autonomously, and he hands them a communication device for their chief. Feeling invigorated, Rue gathers everyone to announce their transformation into a mercenary group. At Saya's inquiry about their name, Rue christens them Parabellum, explaining that it signifies prepare for war, which energizes the group. At dawn, Rue leads his team to a human camp, only to discover it's protected by a magical barrier. Saya confirms the barrier's strength, prompting Rue to order a strategic positioning. He then uses his gauntlet to unleash a powerful blast that demolishes the barrier in one strike. Chaos ensues among the humans as Goy encircles them with an earthen wall and Saya sets the camp ablaze. Rue summons an army of skeletons, preparing to finish off the humans, but they mount a defense. The human commander, a knight named Thais, recognizes Rue's strategy and directs her soldiers to target him. Amidst her orders, one of her mages creates a diversion with a barrage of projectiles, allowing Thais to accelerate towards Rue at a tremendous speed. Impressed by her prowess, Rue manages to deflect her attack effortlessly and expresses a desire to recruit her. However, Thais vehemently refuses, vowing to fight to the end. As the battle intensifies, Mio uses her evil eye to turn the soldiers against each other, while Saya crafts swords from their blood, devastating the human forces. Despite her troops' defeat, Thais continues her assault but fails to harm Rue. In a desperate move, another mage summons a dragon, urging Thais to flee. Realizing the threat, Thais contemplates a sacrificial attack to take Rue down with her, but he neutralizes the dragon with a magical shield and persuades her not to sacrifice herself. Post-battle, the chief expresses his gratitude to Rue for handling the human threat. Rue then assesses the captured humans, offering them medical aid from the elves. However, Thais remains wary of Rue, suspecting ulterior motives related to breeding. To ensure honesty, Rue distributes ear cuffs that prevent lying, enabling him to extract vital information. Rue shares this intelligence with the chief, reminding him of their deal involving alcohol. Using the communication device, Rue informs the chief of the humans' tactical shift to multiple forest paths. Preparing for an ambush, Rue and his group wait as hundreds of soldiers navigate the woods. At the opportune moment, Rue signals his men, triggering a landslide that crushes the advancing troops, effectively neutralizing a significant threat. The soldiers fall into Rue's traps, with the goblins swiftly taking them out. Amidst the chaos, their leader, recognizing the peril, rallies the remaining troops to construct a stone wall for protection, while the mages counterattack with magic. Impressed by the leader's quick thinking, Rue acknowledges the need for a tactical shift as his forces struggle to overcome the human defenses. he commands Kichi to capture the leader. Kichi and his troops press forward, breaking through the magical defenses and engaging the humans in close combat. Despite a valiant effort from the leader, he is eventually captured and his forces are decimated. In captivity, the soldiers, demoralized, expect a grim fate. However, their leader, known as Kobak, a mere commoner, joins them and urges calm, though some remain skeptical of his leadership. During interrogation, Kobak explains that their invasion was driven by desperation to find a cure for their princess, afflicted with an incurable disease, believed to be treatable by the elves' secret medicine. Rue, however, suspects ulterior motives linked to the princess's strategic engagement to an emperor. Meanwhile, Goy stumbles upon a hot spring. Seizing the opportunity for respite, Rue constructs a bathhouse, allowing everyone a moment of relaxation. The following day, determined to utilize the prisoners, Rue initiates combat training through mock battles. Under Scene Mio's supervision, the prisoners demonstrate their strategic prowess. Kobak, finding the skeleton sparring partners too feeble, challenges Rue directly. Rue enhances Kobak with a buff for survival but swiftly overpowers him, leaving him defeated but unharmed as Rue heals him afterward. Inspired by the display, Kichi jumps into a sparring session with Kobak, and their spirited duel impresses the onlookers. After the fight, Kobak, moved by Rue's leadership and the unity of the village, pledges his loyalty and is tasked with training Rebellia to strengthen her abilities. In a meeting with the chief, Rue learns that 3 prisoners have been injured, whom the chief agrees to accept. Curious about the elves' secret medicine, Rue presses the chief, who reveals he had already given it to Rue, advising discretion. Experimenting with the medicine, Rue discovers it grants him a potent ability, medicine blood, which he uses to instantly heal one of the prisoners, recognizing the skill's extraordinary potential. That evening, as a human commander sips tea, Rue's spear unexpectedly strikes, killing him instantly and triggering a mechanism that impales nearby soldiers. Rue's allies then emerge, swiftly eliminating the remaining forces. The next day, Rue discusses the ongoing conflict with the chief, who decides to send his elite unit to aid Rue, hinting at an imminent decisive battle. Returning to the village, theirs, now willing to serve Rue, pleads with him to give the secret medicine to the humans to save the princess. Rue contemplates this, seeing an opportunity to place the human kingdom in his debt, while also considering the broader implications of the world's religious system, governed by 5 powerful gods. Rue discovers that he is favored by the god of Dem, who has significant origins, leading him to foresee potential religious disputes if he decides to share the medicine. Despite this, he assures theirs that he will consider her request. As Rue's group nears the enemy base, understanding they are outnumbered, Rue opts against a direct confrontation. Previously, he had scouted the area and overheard discussions about the Rugal Orden. He questions both Kobak and theirs about this, learning that the Rugal Orden consists of 8 heroic warriors, each blessed by the gods and capable of empowering their allies. Intrigued and seeing an opportunity, Rue expresses a desire to confront them. Rue summons his skeletons for an assault, but Mio points out the impending dawn, which could weaken them. Rue reveals he has a strategy, instructing his allies to secure the perimeter while he leads the charge. As daylight breaks, the skeletons, protected by a coating of slime from Rue, resist the sunlight. Rue joins the battle, commanding the skeletons and manipulating the surrounding water and blood to unleash a devastating wave that annihilates the enemy soldiers. During the chaos, Philip, a member of the Rugal Orden who dislikes his nickname Bongbug, confronts Rue. He reveals his blessing from the god of demonic insects and unleashes bugs he's created, which begin animating the soldiers. Rue quickly deduces these aren't ordinary undead, but are controlled by parasites. Philip then transforms the soldiers into insect-like creatures that swarm Rue. Despite the onslaught, Rue cuts through them easily, though Philip notes that while the insects cannot kill Rue due to his regenerative abilities, they can still challenge him. Philip then summons a giant centipede, classified as a natural disaster, which bites Rue, injecting him with a paralyzing venom. As Rue loses consciousness, the centipede departs, leaving him apparently defeated. However, Philip soon realizes Rue has vanished and narrowly avoids a counterattack. Perplexed by Rue's survival, Philip suspects a deception involving a fake corpse. As Philip prepares to unveil his first secret weapon, boasting of his powers, Rue abruptly strikes, destroying Philip's vial. Offended by the interruption, Philip retaliates with tentacles emerging from his body, hinting at a second secret weapon. He consumes nearby corpses to form a protective suit of armor and re-engages in combat. Rue effortlessly counters and sends Philip reeling. Rue reveals a surprise of his own by summoning an insect-like exoskeleton, declaring that he and Philip are now on equal footing. With this new ability, Rue takes to the skies. Despite Philip's attempts to halt his advance, Rue swiftly closes the distance and delivers a powerful blow that sends Philip crashing to the ground. Meanwhile, Rue's allies successfully defeat the remaining enemy soldiers, but Mio senses trouble and departs swiftly. Conceding defeat, Philip sheds his armor and attempts to flee. Rue pursues him but is briefly hindered by the discarded armor. After dispatching it, he realizes Philip has escaped. Mio, relieved to find Rue unharmed, rejoins him. Rue then discloses that he had dispatched a stealthy replicant to locate the human leader. Rue confronts the prince of the kingdom, expressing his desire to end the conflict and presenting the secret medicine to save the princess. He instructs the soldiers to send a messenger now that they have obtained the medicine, signaling a potential end to hostilities. Back with Rue, it's clear he avoided killing the prince to prevent further retaliation from the kingdom. As Goy fortifies the forest by collapsing a cliff to form a barrier, they attend to their wounded. Two humans stumble upon Rue while trying to return to their base. He reassures them that the war has ended and spares their lives. A solemn moment follows as Rue holds a funeral for his fallen comrades, acknowledging the loss of 30 lives. The necessity to burn the corpses to prevent them from turning into zombies or ghosts adds a poignant note, and Rue's friends mourn deeply. Despite the sorrow, Rue commits to doing whatever it takes to ensure their survival. In the aftermath, several goblins evolve due to their roles during the war. One has become a half-saint lord, gaining a potent shield ability after healing the injured. Another, Gofu, has turned into a ghoul, having consumed the zombies created by Rue, which slightly unnerves him. Mei evolves into a demi with eyes all over her body, providing her with remote viewing capabilities ideal for intelligence gathering. Rue also checks on the kobolds, whose leader has evolved and acquired a true name, Ada. True names hold great power and must be kept secret to avoid being targeted by spells like curses. Ada's disclosure of his name signifies deep loyalty to Rue. With the prisoners, Rue offers them the choice to leave or stay as provisional members. Some express discontent, feeling undervalued compared to the goblins. Their leader challenges Rue for control of the group, prompting an amused Rue to invite their attack. The prisoners activate orb weapons for a power boost, but Rue effortlessly defeats them. Suddenly, Rue is blindsided by a sneak attack and propelled through the air. The assailant, a gorilla man, declares himself the new leader, but Rue quickly retaliates, overpowering him completely. Spotting the half-damper flirting with Mio, Rue decides to administer a particularly harsh reprisal. Several individuals express their gratitude to Rue for rescuing them from slavery, choosing to join his group as provisional members. Among them is the half-damper, who has developed feelings for Rue after tasting his blood. Despite his advances, Rue remains uninterested and rebuffs him once more. This results in an addition of 50 new provisional members to Rue's ranks. Rue introduces Emery to a group of dwarves, but their brusque demeanor does not sit well with her. Nonetheless, Rue encourages her to foster good relations with them due to their renown as skilled craftsmen. The dwarves gift Rue a new warhammer as a token of goodwill. Subsequently, Rue begins agricultural activities, having obtained magical seeds from a dryad. These seeds are special, growing faster and yielding more nutritious crops. While some provisional members choose to return home, Rue is aware that the noble prisoners have been released but brainwashed by Mew, turning them into unwitting spies. As the army completes its withdrawal, the elf chief expresses relief and invites Rue to a celebratory banquet. Rue spends some time crafting with skeleton bones, creating a skeleton centipede which he introduces to the girls. Although they find it creepy, Rue explains its utility as a vehicle and his intention to use it to transport them back to their homeland, giving them the option to stay or leave. During the feast to welcome new members, Zion comments on the potential fright the centipede might cause in town. Danny, the Damper, points out the discrimination against demi-humans in the Empire and Kingdom, necessitating a noble guarantor for entry. Zion volunteers to assist him. Before their departure the next day, Rue organizes everyone into groups tasked with gathering information about the outside world, emphasizing the importance of their safety. As they approach the city of Triant, the locals panic, fearing an impending attack. Rue's party manages to calm the situation and secure accommodations. Rue offers the women in his party the choice to leave and stay in the city, acknowledging their past kidnappings and his desire for them to enjoy their lives. However, he still values their contributions to the group. At the Adventurers Guild, Rue is mistakenly attacked due to misconceptions about his threat level. He subdues the attackers, and Rebellia explains their situation to the guild attendant. An elder advises them to register as adventurers. M invites Rue to go shopping, but he opts to gather intelligence while disguised as a human. As he moves through the city, overhearing people's wary comments about him, he realizes promoting his company will be challenging. Suddenly, he is ambushed by thugs, whom he quickly overpowers and consumes, noticing they all wear similar rings indicating their affiliation with a criminal organization. Rue intervenes during an altercation involving a boy and a group of men who refuse to release a hostage despite the ransom being paid. As the boy faces imminent harm, Rue incapacitates the men and uses one of his replicants to infect them. He advises the boy against taking lethal action and hands him a business card, suggesting he contact Parabellum for further assistance. Rue then reveals his true form to the boy. That evening, the boy seeks out Rue, explaining his mission to rescue a kidnapped princess. Rue discloses that he knows the princess's location. They locate the thug's hideout, where Rue dispatches the criminals and leads the boy to the princess. Upon examining a document during the rescue, Rue realizes the kidnapping was premeditated and advises the boy to keep the details secret. When the boy resists, Rue employs hypnosis to ensure his compliance. The next day, Rue reflects on the future of the goblin generations and his concerns about the human girls potentially leaving. He visits them, and they affirm their desire to stay with him, expressing their loyalty. Later, Princess Ellis Stern, grateful for her rescue, introduces herself to Rue and expresses her wish to hire Parabellum to escort her to the royal capital. Despite Rue's initial reluctance, noting her existing guards, Ellis insists on hiring them, citing her guards' ineffectiveness. The boy mentions her payment of a gold plate, which the girls reveal is worth 1,000,000 gold coins. Realizing the lucrative nature of the offer, Rue accepts the job, but is concerned about the absence of her guards and the potential misunderstandings that might arise. During their journey on the skeleton centipede, the princess directs them to a herd of buffalo. They hunt one for food, and Rue decides to tame another buffalo to make their vehicle appear less conspicuous. As they continue, Ellis's reckless actions put her in danger, leading Rue to realize she might be troublesome. Encountering a nest of turtle snakes, Rue extracts them, and Ellis, realizing her missteps, apologizes and assists in preparing the meal. They share a meal, and Ellis's curiosity about dangerous creatures becomes evident. It's revealed that the boy is a knight in training, and Ellis expresses a desire to learn combat skills. Despite his lack of experience, the boy is determined, and Rue, recognizing Ellis's potential, decides to help them improve their skills. Discussing their travel route, they learn that the shortest path involves passing through territory controlled by powerful creatures known as Philae's eagles, with a particularly formidable leader, the Jade Eagle, blessed by a god. Despite warnings to avoid this route, Rue opts to confront the challenge head-on. They encounter the Philae's eagles, which Rue captures and the group consumes. However, their meal is interrupted by the sudden appearance of the Jade Eagle, prompting Rue to engage in battle. After an hour of tense waiting, everyone is concerned that Rue is losing the battle. When they go outside, they find that Rue has lost his arm, raising their fears. However, Rue consumes his own arm, which triggers his regenerative powers, and he admits he had not been fighting at full strength. He then unleashes his true power, subdues the eagle, and delivers a decisive blow that sends it plummeting to the ground. He discovers a soul stone embedded near the eagle's heart, a rare artifact the girls believe could fetch a great price. Rue consumes the Jade Eagle, gaining its powers. When Ellis questions his habit of eating his defeated foes, Rue explains that it allows him to absorb their regrets and grudges, although he acknowledges that his rationale might sound odd to others. Upon arriving at the village of Mason, the villagers initially panic and ready themselves for a confrontation with Rue. Ellis, however, displays her crest and commands their silence. Recognizing her as a princess, they welcome Rue and provide lodging, along with a tour of local attractions, aiming to ensure the princess enjoys her visit. That evening, a festive atmosphere ensues with drinking. However, when a man inappropriately touches Mio, she retaliates. Rue then proposes a drinking competition with a prize of 4 silver plates, which the villagers eagerly join, unaware that ogres are immune to intoxication. The competition serves as a distraction from the earlier incident with Mio. The next day, the journey continues, but Rue is faced with a crisis when he realizes the twins are pregnant with his children and unlikely to survive the birth due to their human size. In a desperate move, Rue amputates his arm again, offering it as nourishment to sustain them, though they initially refuse. He ingests it himself and then transfers it to them through a kiss, insisting he cannot let them die. They find refuge in a cave where they fend off a bear attack. Rue prepares a makeshift delivery room, using his healing abilities to support the twins through labor. After successfully delivering the babies, who are both alive and well, Rue is relieved and embraces his new role as a father. Gabu informs Rue that the children, being of mixed heritage, might face societal rejection. Despite this, Rue is determined to love and protect them. The babies, born as lords with individual orbs, are named Oro and Argent, after the colors of their respective orbs. The following day, Rue ventures out of the cave alone in search of a formidable creature. He spots a giant deer, which he dubs the White Stag, and suspects it might be a boss-level adversary. Despite doubting his ability to defeat it even with maximum effort, he chooses to engage it. Surprisingly, the stag sheds its antlers and flees rapidly. Rue contemplates consuming the antlers but opts to save them for his children instead. As Rue continues his exploration, he encounters a group of adventurers battling monsters. He notes their leader, whom he refers to as Baylor, and observes that they successfully defeat the minions. However, when Baylor launches an energy attack, the adventurers struggle, though Rue acknowledges their competence. The battle escalates until magical arrows suddenly strike Baylor, disintegrating him. Approaching Baylor's remains, Rue considers storing them in his item box, but the adventurers, perceiving him as a potential threat, ready themselves for combat. Their leader exudes a powerful aura, piquing Rue's interest, and after a brief negotiation involving the exchange of potions for Baylor's remains, Rue secures Baylor's remains in his item box and departs as the adventurers discuss his intriguing nature. Back in the cave, Rue feeds on Baylor and presents the white stag's antlers to his children, enhancing their abilities. He and Rebellia attempt to consume part of the antlers, gaining unusual abilities. Rebellia acquires a new job title, Stall Eater. However, Rue realizes the immense power of the white stag and acknowledges he is not yet strong enough to tame it. That night, as Rue sleeps, the system notifies him that he has reached maximum level and offers an evolution to a Postal Lord, which he accepts, although he encounters an error stating additional conditions are required for further skill upgrades. Continuing their journey, Rue discovers Emery and Spannel are pregnant. With prior experience, he efficiently sets up camp for their delivery. Emery gives birth to a high orc son, while Spannel's daughter is human and noticeably smaller. As the group approaches the capital, Ellis disguises herself to avoid recognition, and they rest at an inn named Purgatory. Rue takes the others to the local adventurers guild, where they encounter a training room. A group of adventurers challenges Rue, but he directs them to spar with his companions instead, resulting in a defeat for the adventurers. Impressed, Rue invites them to join Parabellum. Later, while shopping with the girls, Rue buys a camera and spends the evening capturing moments with his babies. He connects with other Parabellum members. S reports successful spellbook acquisitions through capturing criminals, and May updates on her information-gathering efforts, for which Rue advises her to rest. He considers contacting Kitschy, but is abruptly disturbed by a vision of himself being bisected, leaving him unsettled and confused about the vision's significance. Rue decides to travel to the city of Geos to check on Kitschy. He informs Ellis that the journey will take 2 days, delaying their arrival at the capital. Ellis agrees, seeing no issue with the delay. During their travel, the group notes that Spannel's child is developing slower than the others, attributing it to the longer maturation period of humans. Rue notices Mio wearing a necklace he gave her. Mio, feeling inadequate compared to Rue, confesses her desire to have a child with him. Rue reassures her, affirming his commitment regardless of whether they have children. Upon arriving in Gios, they encounter a group of adventurers fleeing from a dungeon, warning of a powerful mentor inside. Rue discusses the situation with the mayor, who reveals that the adventurers are targeting the mentor. At the dungeon entrance, Kitschy appears with GOI, both noticeably larger. GOI clarifies that they did not harm the adventurers. Kitschy shares his recent ordeal in the dungeon, where he faced a boss that mimicked Rue and overcame it with a new power granted by the lightning god. Kitschy, now a mentor, and GOI, an Earth Lord, express a desire to test their new strengths. Kitschy challenges Rue to a duel in the arena, hoping to prove his equality. During the intense fight, Kitschy's strength surprises Rue, forcing him to adapt quickly. Kitschy unleashes powerful attacks, but Rue counters with a new ability that enhances his stats, gaining the upper hand. As the battle progresses, Kitschy accidentally releases an overwhelming attack, momentarily fearing for the safety of their friends. Rue recovers and uses a new skill, overpowering Kitschy with a series of rapid strikes. Reflecting on their shared past, Rue acknowledges their significant growth from their days as goblins. After the duel, Kitschy and GOI return home. Rue and his group eventually reach the royal capital, where Ellis welcomes them to her palace and prepares to reward them for their journey and accomplishments. They enjoy a lavish dinner, but struggle to sleep in the unfamiliar luxury of the rooms. The following day, Ellis presents Rue with his payment and a card granting him free entry to the capital. Though Rue questions the gesture, Ellis anticipates future collaborations and wants him to return easily. Ru leaves some of his replicants in the city, and the group starts their journey back. The trip progresses smoothly, yet Mio feels disheartened, comparing her strength to Kichi's recent advancements. Ru reassures her of his unwavering support and offers to help her train. They pause their journey for training, where Ru summons several giants as sparring partners for Mio. She commits fully and defeats over 50 giants, but feels it's still insufficient. Ru praises her effort, but she faints from exhaustion. He carries her back to the group, and they share a meal together. That night, Mio evolves into a vampire lord, rejuvenating her spirits. Upon returning to the forest in their cave, they find it transformed with renovations. The group warmly welcomes them back. Jioi shows them the new farm, now tended by a dryad, and a new ranch for the animals. Suddenly, Ju rushes in with news of Gebu's critical condition. Ru visits Gabu, introducing him to his children. Gabu, reflecting on his life, passes away contentedly but suddenly. They hold a funeral for Gabu, reminiscing about his 20 years of life. In Gebu's honor, Ru organizes a tournament to gauge everyone's progress in Parabellum. Kichi gets his rematch with Ru, expressing gratitude for Ru's help, but vows to surpass him one day. Their intense battle lasts all day, with Ru emerging victorious. As the day winds down, the twins prepare dinner, and Ru reflects on the group's improved strength. That night, Ellis calls Ru, seeking his assistance once again. He attempts to decline, but she offers him something too tempting to refuse. The next day, he rallies the group, readying them for a new adventure in the capital. This marks the end of this video. Please remember to like and subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to our next adventure together.